Hey my scrappy friends, welcome to my channel today. I am working on a layout that is a March for the Love of Homemade Kits layout. I also am using a sketch from Christy's 30 Day of Sketches, and I want to say it's day 21. I don't have the sketch in front of me, so just bear with me. But on the sketch, I know that there is a top and bottom middle. It's more of a grid style or a loose grid. And so I'm going to use this paint to have a top and a bottom layer. And then, and I ended up doing some other stuff in an art journal. So whenever I have leftover media, I always put it in an art journal because why not? You know, it's a nice little place to layer. So this is heavy body gesso. And I just used it to kind of tone down that pink a little bit. That's the impasto pink. And I have some of that in the store. But it is so buttery. And I absolutely love that acrylic paint. And so this layout, or part of this layout, is inspired by hearts that Gia made. She made these really cool fabric hearts. And so I want to kind of recreate that with my own stuff. And so I cut some just plain paper out, and I just cut those hearts. So I just drew them and cut them out, and then later I will put the fabric on there. I'm just using the rest of this paper to mat. A lot of times I will do that because you can't see that empty spot or space, right? It's empty, so but I can still use it to mat that the photo. So I'm gonna cut, I think all three of these I cut in 3 sections, and these fabric pieces are from the fabric add-on for March in the Crafty Maven. So I'm gonna get them all kind of ready. I did use that Eileen tacky glue, and that stuff works really great. So I'm just gonna layer the fabric and do every other color. So the blue, the white with the yellow flowers. So you don't have to see me do the whole thing, but I did all 3 of those. And then I decided that I wanted to have some kind of background, and I'm trying to think that's a crepe paper, like Maggie Holmes paper or something, that background. I don't remember though. But anyway, all of this is in my March kit, and if you guys want to see that, I'll link to that. It's on the Crafty Maven. So that's where I've been sharing my kit shares for now. And so I just ripped all the edges, and then I'm going to put this down, and I use a lot of glue because I don't want it to fall off, because I don't know what other stuff I'm going to put on here. But with that media, I feel like it makes the background, like that cardstock, really heavy. So, and it like warps really easily. So if you use a lot of glue, I feel like that helps. And then later on, a lot of times when I stack it, I'll make sure I put something heavy on it once it's all dry, as long as I don't have something like super dimensional that I don't want to be crushed. And then I'm going to mat these other photos. So all 3 of these are going to go on here, and I'm going to mat them. I also have some other elements that I'm going to use for square pieces as well to kind of help with that, the overall look. And I'm using this sketch mostly as just like a foundation, just a way to like kind of get a start for things. I like to do that. And I've noticed this year I've been using a lot more sketches than I normally do, and I think it's just because getting into everything is sometimes it's nice to have a place to start. I don't necessarily have to, but I also find that like as I'm not scrapping as much as I would like, because I am doing other things with the business. But anyway, so these are plates that I took when we were in Idaho. We went to a nice, fancier steakhouse, and so that's the dishes that we got. Now I want to use the lovely card for sure. I really love that card. but part of the L is cut off and it's cut weird. So I got to figure out how to make these work. And on the sketch, I believe that there's like a banner in the middle as well. And so I'm going to do that, but I'm going to use paper. So where the other two banners, I used media. And so I'm just trying to figure out like, okay, how do I think this is going to look? And of course, it looks actually really good like that, but it doesn't stay exactly like that. It's a lot more tilted. And I'm okay with that because I'm going to add a whole bunch of other stuff that's going to help balance it out. But that's where sometimes sketches are really nice because you can get a feel for what is going to be balanced and what's not. So once you start playing around with things, you can balance it easier than if you just come in at it. So with that said, I'm not particularly like picky about how balanced it is because I like that all my pages are a little bit different and some of them are way crazy. And yes, I do a similar style, but sometimes that's the nice thing is that you can have all different styles in your album, right? So I didn't like how big that was, so I'm going to rip it and kind of layer it together. Of course, I forgot that I put that upside down. And then I'm going to add this Maggie Home Shine because I needed another color. And it has a little bit of blue, which I thought would kind of match with those plates. I mean, honestly, this has like lots of different colors and stuff. So this is a super old paper. I absolutely love this paper. I love that collection. That Shine collection was really fun. So I'm going to do this, but that's not going to stay there because as I start working on this, I feel like it's not balanced and you don't see enough of that blue paper. And I really want that blue paper to help one, like ground that middle layer because it definitely needs it, right? Because it's just kind of floating there. Even though I have that pink banner, it looks a lot like the media. So just having something, and by putting that blue paper like on the top and the bottom on either side, I really like the way that turned out. And then these ones I'm just gonna layer together. I think that there was something like, I think it was a lot more boxier, which is not how I did it. And I am adding some pop dots to some of this stuff on here. Actually, I add them a lot to quite a bit of the hearts too. And I end up cutting out a whole bunch of hearts. I use a lot of hearts in this one. But like I was saying, we went to a fancy steakhouse with our friends. And so this is what we got, the surf and turf, and then I got the scallops. And they tasted really yummy, but they were not filling at all. We actually were kind of disappointed. Our friend got the buffalo and he had a nice big piece and it was super good. So I think it just was whatever, depending on the dish that you got. I don't think our friends were as unhappy as me and my husband. I wasn't as particularly impressed. Like, it didn't taste bad, but it wasn't like the best food. And when you spend a lot of money at these places, these fancy places, it was super fancy. You could see the chefs, like it had an open kitchen, which is super fun. But so I'm going to add this heart over here. That's also just kind of helps ground things. So now you see these hearts and I'm just cutting the fabric off. I let it dry completely and before I cut around. And that glue like really dries. So it worked really nicely with that fabric. And so I'm going to figure out exactly where I want these. And this also, by doing it, picking the areas that I picked, this also helps ground things and balance them out. Because there is a lot going on. Though this was a pretty busy sketch if I remember correctly. And I'm going to work on adding some more hearts and stuff around. So it was super fun to make. Like, this had a lot of different fun elements. And honestly, like, I'm finding as I'm not scrapping as much as I would like, sometimes I really want to make the time that I have worth it, right? So I love this ampersand. I love ampersands. They're just one of those fun little embellishment shapes that is just fun. So I'm going to pull out some different types of hearts and different stuff. I think I took a label from the printables from March, and some of the February printables too, and then some of these Chamel hearts. So I'm just thinking about colors now and how I can tie. Like, I want things that are going to tie well and work together. Now, I really like this heart. I like how it has copper on it. It kind of matches that ampersand. It's hard to see, but that actually is copper. And so I'm going to get some media, some of this paint, and I'm going to paint over. And it does look a little bit more purple than what that pink looks, but it's just super fun. So I just took this and painted it, and then I'm going to add some, I think I had a hard time getting all over my hand because I just needed it to stay still for a minute. Oh yeah, I had this paste, and so I'm going to draw lines with the paste. It was like a teal and purple paste that were together. So I thought that kind of matched, but looked a little bit different. So that's what I was going for. And that paste, I just did a really thin line, and so it looks more like textured paint. It was super fun. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of gesso and on the edge of the brush and just flick it so that there's some white little spots. And that's glue. So I needed to glue this piece back on. So because I put too much on for something else on the page. But anyway, so now I'm just going to figure out where I want all of these pieces. And I just have fun with it. Just fun layering and trying to find balance. I'm pretty sure that yellow label is from the March kit. So I tried to do quite a bit of like labels and stuff each month. I need to do some newer type of ones for this next month. I feel like I've been doing a lot of the same ones. But anyway, I'm going to use this mustardy color. And this is from it's called Serendipitous. What company is that? Chickenity. That's what company it was from. These, I believe, were in an old Scraptastic kit. I think that's where they were from. These are super old. So in my kit, I wanted to add some older alphas with, these are a little bit newer to me. They're not super new. I'm trying to think when I got them. In the summer 2020 maybe, or spring. So I just thought food and friends sounded super fun, and so this is almost done. I think I just add the rest of the hearts, and then I'm gonna add some splatters. I kept it, it's not really simple, but I tried to keep the embellishment part simple since there's a lot going on. And I'm just kind of looking for things that match with the colors. That pink Fresh Studio, those word phrases that I'm using there are from, I think it might even be from that collection. But it's super fun because they were similar colors, so I could kind of match. So now I'm just going to find a place for all these fun things. And I do put some of those hearts also on dimensional. I like to do that. I like to add dimension to things just so that not everything's super flat. But if that's your thing. Oh yeah, and then I forgot that I cut out some of these hearts from that pink ombre paper that I used. There was hearts on the other side, and they were similar colors to what is in the kit. Now, in the March kit, I'm trying to think. There was yellow. It was more of a sunshine yellow as opposed to like mustard, but that's okay. This is the fun part about when you have a color, you can, if you can find different variations, like depending on whether it's cool or warm, make it look really fun. But I had a lot of fun adding all these hearts around and figuring out exactly how I wanted it. I decided that I didn't want that heart there. And so that heart circle. So I move it. Though you can see a little bit where it ripped on top of the paint. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm just going to add some gesso splatters on my paintbrush. I don't think you could see it that much in the pictures that I took. I probably needed to add a little bit more or have the brush be a little bit wetter or something. It's been a while since I did this technique, so I did have to add a lot. Well, and then I had that one blob that looks really cool, and then I touched it, so it didn't dry like that. It splattened out a little bit, but here are the close-ups. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a scrappy week.